Hello students, welcome back to the next session of Science 2 Chapter 6 Animal Classification. In the last session, we have studied the introduction to animal classification. Today, let us continue with the chapter. We will first study the basis of animal classification. Let us see the grades of organization. Now, in unicellular organisms, as you all know, all the functions of life are performed by a single cell, that is the same cell. So, body organization of these unicellular organisms is called as the protoplasmic grade of organization. This is the simplest grade of organization. In case of multicellular animals, if tissues are not formed, you know that cells according to their functions, they are grouped into tissues. So if tissues are not formed, then their body organization is called as cellular grade organization. Example is phylum Porifera. But in case of some animals, the cells come together depending upon their function and they form tissues, with the help of which all the body functions are performed. And such animals, they show the cell tissue grade organization. Example is phylum Cnidaria. Now, flatworms show tissue grade organization. And in this type of organization, the tissues are organized to form some organs, but they do not have complete organ systems. Children, this part of the lesson is actually deleted, but according to me, unless you know these basics, you will not understand the characteristics of the various phyla. So that is the reason why I have explained it to you. You may not study it, but you can at least read it and understand it. So you can see here the various grades of body organization. You have in amoeba and paramecium, unicellular organisms, you can see the protoplasmic grade of organization. In Porifera, that is like cycon, sponge, cellular grade of organization is seen. In the case of jellyfish, you can see cell tissue grade of organization. And finally, as in the case of Planaria, you can see the tissue grade of organization. Now let us come to what is body symmetry. And let us see what are the different types of symmetry. Now the first type is asymmetrical body. As the name itself suggests, in the case of such a body, there is no any imaginary axis of the body through which you can cut the body into two equal halves. So example of an asymmetrical body would be some sponges. Even amoeba is asymmetrical. Radial symmetry. In this type of body, if the imaginary cut axis, it passes through the center of the body, but any plane of the body, it gives you two equal halves. That is, through any radius, if you cut the body can be divided into two equal halves. So in the case of starfish, okay, there are 5 different planes passing through central axis of the body, through which you can get two equal halves. That's why starfish is said to have pentamerous symmetry. Now, bilateral symmetry. In this type of body, there is only one imaginary axis of the body through which you can divide the body into two equal halves. So, all insects, fishes, frogs, birds and human beings, they can all be divided into two equal halves through a central imaginary axis of the body. So, they all are said to have bilateral symmetry. Now you can see here asymmetrical body as in the case of Porifera, radial symmetry as in the case of Hydra from Cnidaria, bilateral symmetry, cockroach, Arthropoda. Okay, so these are the examples of body symmetry. Now let us come to what is meant by germ layers, that is diploblastic and triploblastic. What do these terms indicate? Now in the case of multicellular animals, germ layers are formed during the initial period of their embryonic development, and from those germ layers only different tissues of the body are formed. Now in case of some animals, they have only two germ layers, namely the endoderm and the ectoderm. For example, all the cnidarians, they have only two germ layers. But in the case of most of all the remaining animals, three germ layers are formed. That is, apart from the endoderm and the ectoderm, there is a middle layer called the mesoderm, which is also present. So such kind of animals, they are said to be triploblastic. Now we come to the body cavity or coelom. Now the cavity between the body wall and the internal organs, it is known as the body cavity or the coelom. Now in case of multicellular animals, during initial period of their embryonic development, the body cavity is formed either from the mesoderm. Such type of a body cavity is present in animals of phylum Annelida and all the phyla that come after Annelida. So such kind of animals which have a true body cavity, they are said to be eucoelomate. Now body cavity is absent in case of animals from phylum Porifera, Cnidaria and Platyhelminthes, and such animals, they are said to be acoelomate. That is, they do not have a body cavity. In case of animals from phylum Aschelminthes, they have a body cavity, but it is not formed by the above mentioned two ways, and that is why their body cavity is said to be a false body cavity, or they are called as pseudocoelomates. So eucoelomate, true body cavity; acoelomate, no body cavity; and pseudocoelomates, false body cavity. So you can see here very clearly the eucoelomates, pseudocoelomates and the acoelomates. Now we come to yet another grade of organization, and that is body segmentation. Now if the body of the animal is divided into small similar units, then such a body, it is called as a segmented body, and each small unit, it is called as a segment. You have seen segmented animals like the earthworm from phylum Annelida. Okay, so segmentation is actually a very prominent characteristic of the earthworm. Now let us come to study the phyla in detail. So we will come to the first phylum, and this is phylum Porifera. Porifera, the name itself suggests porous body. Okay, you know what are pores? Pores are nothing but holes on the body. So these animals are with a simplest body plan, and they are called as sponges. They bear numerous pores on their body, and these pores, they are called as ostia and oscula. The tiny ones on the body, they are known as ostia, and the larger openings at the tip of the body, they are termed as oscula. Now phylum Porifera mostly includes aquatic animals, that is, which dwell in water. Most of them are marine and few of them are freshwater dwellers. Most of the animals, they have special types of cells, and these are called as collar cells. So the presence of collar cells is a distinguishing feature of phylum Porifera. All these animals have an asymmetrical body, that is, there is no body symmetry. Now, another special feature of these animals is that they are always attached to the substratum. Substratum means a base. Okay, they are attached to a base, and that is why they don't show any locomotion. They don't move much. That is why they are referred to as sedentary animals. Sedentary means stationary. Their spongy body is supported by spicules or spongin fibers. And the spicules are made up of calcium carbonate or silica. Now these animals, they feed upon smaller organisms which they take into their body along with the water. And the water, as I told you, it is taken through the ostia, which are the small pores on the body cavity, and they are given out through the larger openings, which are the oscula. These animals reproduce asexually by budding, which is an asexual method of reproduction, or they can also reproduce sexually. Besides, they have got a very good ability of regeneration. Here you can see Spongilla and Cycon sponge, which are the members of phylum Porifera. The other examples are the Cycon sponge and Euspongia, which is also commonly known as the bath sponge. And we also have Hyalonema, which is also from phylum Porifera. And lastly, we have Euplectella. This is also a member of phylum Porifera. So students, with that we come to the end of this session. We shall study more about the remaining phyla in our next video. Thank you for lending a patient ear. Goodbye.